St. Albert costs more than most of Edmonton. The property taxes are higher. The average sale price just dropped a little this year and inventory's tight. So why is every well-priced home in this city still going into multiple offers in 2026? I'll give you the honest answer, plus what living in St. Albert really looks like right now. Hi, I'm Nathan Richter, a licensed real estate agent serving St. Albert and the Greater Edmonton area. I've spent 25 years on the construction side of real estate, custom home building, renovations, and currently running a restoration company that handles new home warranty work and condo restoration. So when I talk about what living in St. Albert is actually like in 2026, I'm bringing both the agent's lens and the builder's lens to the conversation. And before we get into the details, I want to tell you why this is personal for me. My family and I have lived in St. Albert for over 22 years now, ever since we moved up from Vancouver Island. We've raised our kids here. I've been involved in the local sports community for years and through a lot of the schools. Our youngest is actually graduating this year. Very exciting. So when I'm telling you what it's actually like to live in St. Albert, that's the perspective behind it, not just an agent and a builder talking about the city from the outside. So let's start with the obvious question. How many people actually live here? St. Albert just crossed 74,000 residents as of 2025 municipal estimate. And the city is on pace to hit roughly 76,000 by the end of 2026. To put that in context, back in 2018, the population was sitting around 66,000. So in 8 years, the city has added more than 7,000 people. That's not a boom, it's steady growth. St. Albert isn't trying to be Edmonton. It's growing on its own terms. And the kind of growth matters more than the number. The 2024 census showed the city is aging slightly, getting more culturally diverse, and pulling in a noticeable wave of move-up buyers from Edmonton and surrounding communities. Families who want the schools, the trails, and the quieter streets, but who don't want to lose access to a major city. That's the buyer profile driving the demand pressure we're seeing right now. And here's how I want to frame the rest of this. We'll walk through what it's actually like to live here, the healthcare, the schools, the housing stock, the taxes, the traffic, and along the way I'll point out where the construction quality is strong, where it's not, and what to watch for if you're buying. Healthcare is one of the quiet reasons St. Albert punches above its weight. For a city of this size, you have the Sturgeon Community Hospital right in the middle of it, plus more than 10 medical and walk-in clinics spread across the city. That sounds boring on paper. It stops being boring the first time you have a kid with an ear infection at 9 at night and you're not driving 30 minutes into Edmonton to be seen. For families and retirees specifically, that proximity is one of the underrated reasons most people stay here long term, and one of the reasons demand for smaller and accessible housing stays steady. If you like being outside, St. Albert was kind of designed for you. Service Credit Union Place is the big one. Multiple arenas, the pool, fitness center, indoor track, soccer pitches, the whole package under one roof. Fountain Park Recreation Center handles the bigger pool with lanes, lots of fitness needs, and then there's the Sturgeon River that runs right through the city with a Red Willow trail system following it for more than 85 kilometers of paved paths. Rotary Park is the part everyone takes their out-of-town visitors to. Kayaking and paddleboarding in the summer, the outdoor skating loop in the winter, and for families with younger kids, you have dozens of playgrounds spread across the neighborhoods. Not one or two central ones, actual neighborhood playgrounds within walking distance of most of the houses. That walkability is the part that keeps surprising people moving in from bigger cities. The arts and culture side of St. Albert is the part that most people from outside the city underestimate until they show up on a Saturday morning. The Art and Theater, 500 seats right in the Perrin District, pulls in national touring acts, drama, dance, the full range. Art Walk runs first Thursday evenings through the summer months and turns the downtown into an outdoor gallery. But the big one, the one I tell every relocating client to time their first visit around, is the St. Albert Farmers Market. From mid-June through early October, every Saturday, Perrin District becomes the largest fully outdoor farmers market in Canada, 275 plus vendors, 15 to 20,000 visitors. If you want to understand what living here actually feels like, walk through it once on a July Saturday. That's the answer. Schools are the single biggest reason families relocate to St. Albert from Edmonton. The city is served by two of the strongest public boards in Alberta, St. Albert Public Schools and Greater St. Albert Catholic Schools, and both consistently land near the top of the Fraser Institute provincial rankings year after year. You also have strong French immersion options, alternative programs, and several well-regarded independent schools. What that translates into, in plain English, if you have school-age kids, you're not picking between an okay school and a bad one, you're picking between a strong school and a stronger one. Our family lived this firsthand for 2 decades, and it's directly tied to why family housing in the city holds its value the way it does. This is what most people came for. So let me give you the current numbers for April 2026. So as of April 2026 release from the Realtors Association of Edmonton, the average sale price in St. Albert was around $515,000. That's down roughly 4% year over year. The year-to-date average through April, meaning the first 4 months of 2026 combined, is sitting at $544,000, which is up about 5.5% over the same period last year. So the headline is, the market is stabilizing, not falling. The speed of sale tells the same story. The average home in St. Albert is selling in 27 days right now, which is down close to 30%. And the ask to sell ratio is sitting at about 100.2%, meaning on average, homes are closing right around asking. By housing type, detached homes make up the largest share of sales and price above the city average. Townhomes, semi-detached, and condos offer more accessibility entry points across a range of price tiers. If you're looking at newer construction, the communities to know in 2026 are Riverside, Cherot, Jensen, and the newer phases of Erin Ridge. That's where most of the new build activity in St. Albert is happening right now. And on the builder side, there are a lot of quality builders in St. Albert actively putting up inventory across those neighborhoods. If you're seriously looking at new construction here, that's a conversation we should have one-on-one so we can match the right builder and neighborhood to what you're actually looking for. If you like our top picks for builders, just drop builders in the comments below or reach out through any of the contact options in the description and I'll get that list over to you. Quick aside, if you want the local numbers for a specific postal code or a neighborhood you're considering, send me your postal code through any of the contact options in the description below, text, email, or give me a call, and I'll send back what's selling, what it's selling for, and how long it's sitting. Helping people work through this kind of information is part of what I do. Happy to do it. St. Albert has more historical depth than most cities its size in Western Canada. The Father Lacombe Chapel is the oldest standing log building in Alberta, built in 1861, still preserved as a provincial historic site. The Musée Heritage Museum sits right in the cultural core and runs rotating exhibits on the city's Métis, Francophone, and Pioneer history. On the outdoor side, the Botanic Park is the one most St. Albertans hold close. Formal gardens, themed plantings, mature trees, walking paths. It's a few minute stop on the way to or from the farmer's market, and it's free. Combine that with the Red Willow Trails I mentioned earlier, and you've got a city where even if you don't drive, you have somewhere to go and something to look at most of the days of the year. Weather. You're in central Alberta, so there are no surprises here. But there are some real numbers. Average daily highs run from about -8 in January up to +23 in July. The extremes you'll see in a typical year are roughly -27 on the coldest snap to about +29 on the hottest summer day. Winters are real winters here. Summers are long, dry, and bright, 18-hour days in late June. If you're moving here from somewhere milder, which is what we did coming from Vancouver Island, the first winter is the adjustment. And actually, after a couple of them, you still have to adjust. It is Alberta, and the winters are real, but you do get used to it due to the quality of life that Alberta offers, and specifically St. Albert. Location-wise, St. Albert sits just northwest of Edmonton, far enough out to be its own city with its own downtown, school system, and feel, close enough that you can be in central Edmonton in 20 to 30 minutes most of the day. The Anthony Henday Ring Road connects you to the rest of the region without driving through Edmonton's core. And the Sturgeon River winding through the city is what gives it most of its trails and green space. Nature isn't a separate place you drive to, it's running through the neighborhood you live in. Now, a few things you should know going in, because they're real and worth weighing before you write an offer on a property. 1, property taxes are higher than Edmonton. City Council just approved a 3.8% increase for 2026, with the residential mill rate at 8.39 per thousand of assessed value. On the average home, that's a meaningful annual difference versus an equivalent Edmonton property. 2, commute traffic at peak hours through the St. Albert Trail and Henday connection points is real. Not Toronto traffic, but if you're driving into central Edmonton between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning, you better plan for it. 3, inventory is genuinely tight in 2026, and well-priced homes are moving fast in multiple offer situations. If you're buying here this year, you want to be pre-approved, you want to know the neighborhoods you're targeting, and you want someone in your corner pulling daily new listings as they hit the MLS. Those are the real ones. The premium is real, but for most families who choose St. Albert, the math still works in favor of the move, which is exactly why the inventory stays tight. If you're thinking about a move to St. Albert in the next 6 to 12 months and want a real conversation about whether this city is the right fit for you and your family, text, email, or call. All my contact info is in the description below. And if this was useful, like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next community deep dive. See you then. Thank you.